Hi everyone, good morning. I thought today, instead of leaving my John Maxwell till the end of the day, I'd do it in the morning. And I'm starting a new section on this book. It's week 8 and it's the law of intuition. So John Maxwell is saying leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. We all have things or areas that we are good in, and we have areas that we are weak in or we're not so strong in. Everybody has the same skills, the same foundation in the Catholic Church. So the foundation I have and the skills I have is no different to anybody in my family, in my extended family. We've all got the same skills, the same knowledge. We go to the same mass. We hear different preachers or different teachers and pastors, but it's the same scripture. All you have to do is open up and read it. And for those of us who are confirmed in our faith, we know that no person is better than the other person. We can all use our skills in the way that we want to use them or we see fit. For me, I took courses in theology because I wanted to go into a specific ministry and help with spiritual direction, give retreats. That doesn't mean that people who don't have the education or the degrees can't do it. It means that I was chosen by the church to perform a certain ministry and to help in certain ministries. And so that's what I do. And for this John Maxwell, I just wanted to focus on this teaching. It's about Jethro and the law of intuition. So the scriptures for today is from Exodus 18:1-27. And he's basically saying intuition flows from your gifting. So when you look at this Exodus story of Moses and Jethro, we see how Jethro was leading the people and he was trying to do everything on his own. And immediately Moses told him, the thing that you do is not good. So in our communities, in our families, if we're trying to do everything on our own, and we're trying to manage our relationships on our own, achieve things on our own, it's going to become overwhelming because we're not able to do it. God built us to be in community, not isolated. And when we work together, when we help each other, that's when we achieve the results. So he told him, give people their area that they can have their responsibility and make decisions within that area, and let them bring the very difficult cases to you. Not only does that free up the time of the leader, of Jethro, it gives people a sense of agency and a sense of knowing that they can also make decisions for themselves. The people who are running organizations have more responsibility because they have everybody under them that they are responsible for. You wouldn't think it with the way some of our organizations are run. It's like it's all about them and the millions that they can make and how much the stock prices are going to go up. But it's not really supposed to be about that. And then his question is, how is your view of life colored by your top 2 gifts or talents? So with John Maxwell, he talks about how he's able to speak and he's intuitive when he speaks. Depending on his audience and how he reads the room, he'll open his speech differently. And his wife gets asked to speak, and she often asks him, well, how do I open this? Because that's an area she needs help with. But he's not good with putting his wardrobe together, so his wife will help him with that. So the same way, we also have our areas that we are gifted in and areas that we are working on. For me, I talk to my cousin a lot, my cousin in England, and she's the one that helped me to find that book on the Fast 800, that diet, because I told her that I'm pre-diabetic now and I put on a lot of weight over the years. I did try to exercise, but sedentary work, you don't walk around, you're working late shifts, you're working overnight, all of that throws your body clock off, and I need to lose the weight. So she had recommended that I look into those books, and the books are very, very expensive, the original ones, but I did find the more recent ones, and they're not that expensive. So I got those, and I've shared those. And that's the other reason that I'm looking for a day shift, and I'm looking for something that is more compatible with my skills and to balance my health, because now I suffer with my ears. I mean, I'm not working right now, and still I'm getting ringing in my ears get painful, and that is a known side effect of doing call center work, because you're sitting with your headsets and you can't, there's no way, like if you're at home even, for the calls to come through just on a speaker because of confidentiality, and because people could be passing by that hear those conversations. And in the call center, you can't not do your work without the headsets, because there's so many of us, everybody's talking at the same time. So that's one thing for me that I would say it's an area of weakness. It's an area where I'm trying to take more and better care of my own health, and not just focusing on doing the job and getting an income, because suffering does come to all of us, but we can also take steps to get well. Today I went to Mass, and the first reading was beautiful. It was about how nobody will have to teach people God's law and God's scriptures, because it will be written in the hearts of people. And all we have to do is to open our Bibles and read them to get that guidance and the intelligence, because it's there for us to tap into. And then the other area of my giftedness, I would say, would be with racism, because I've experienced it, and my friends have experienced it. And we know what it's like to be discriminated against, to not get the top jobs, to not get selected for opportunities, to be passed over, to constantly get contract work when you could be a white-collared worker in a good paid job with benefits, and you're not getting it. And other people are passing you by, and they're white, and they're getting all the top jobs, all the benefits. And it's happened to me many times in Canada. I mean, in TD, we have Bharat Masrani running TD, but there are not many Indian people like that at the top, and especially women. It's something that Canada is working on, and we're not where we should be, but we're getting there slowly. I mean, racism was started here. This mosaic nation is also an apartheid nation. So we can't forget about that. It's part of the psyche here. And overcoming it is very difficult. And we also deal with our own memories in our own ways of seeing how our communities were hurt, how they were brutalized, the police brutality. And in recent years, where you see it springing up again, it's very difficult. But we put our faith in God and we move forward, because we have to change and adapt as time goes by. I mean, if one specific group is being targeted, over time it changes and then it gets reversed. So we always try to make sure that, yes, we challenge each other, we ask each other, like, have you looked in black companies, or have you looked in Indian companies? But sometimes it's our own people that discriminate against us. So those are areas that I'm working on and that I'm dealing with, especially with my health. I'm focused on getting a job that will give me a day shift and give me something off the phones where I'm not under so much pressure or doing 3 chats at a time. And that's my priority, because if I don't look after my health, no one else is going to. The company will continue with or without me. It's not like losing me is going to leave the company without anybody to work. I'm just one worker out of thousands. So that's what I'm focusing on, and that's what I'm doing. You can take the principles that John Maxwell talks about in here, and you can apply them. You can read the scriptures and think about 2 areas of your giftedness in your leadership and how you can continue to work on them. And with the health, that's something I've always worked on. When I worked with the sisters in Pinner in Middlesex in England, I started working on it there. I had a car accident. I was coming home from work, and the light was for me to cross and for the traffic to stop. And this driver did not stop, and he knocked me over, and there was nobody there. It was an isolated area. There were no cars. The bus had just dropped me off and gone, and I had to crawl off the side of the road and then wait for the next bus and then go home because I had to change buses. And what I did was I used to use frankincense essential oil in my bath. I used to run a bath and put a few drops of that in there, and that helped with my healing and with the pain I was in. And again, I was on contract work there, so I didn't have any sick days, I didn't have any benefits, and I had to go to work because if I didn't work, I basically would not get any income. But again, I focused on my health, I focused on getting well, and I did what I could within the limits of what was available to me. So suffering is there, but you don't have to choose it. You don't have to say, yes, I'm going to suffer. That's why when you look at Jesus and his choice, he made a choice to go to the cross because he was both God and man. He made a choice to suffer for us. And he knew that by telling people he was, or if people started telling people he's the Son of God, that suffering would come quicker. That's why he always used to tell his disciples, don't tell anyone, the time will come. And that was in the scriptures today where Peter was saying to him, you shouldn't do this, it shouldn't be you. And Jesus was saying, you are thinking like man, not like God, because it was for our souls that he suffered and that he died. And he took up that cross willingly, because he could have commanded angels to come about him. He could have taken a different route. He could have negotiated with Pontius Pilate. He could have taken a very different route than choosing to go to the cross to die for us. And all the great romantic stories, all the great romantic movies are like that. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There's always that element of love, of sacrificial love. So when we do our volunteer work, when we challenge political leaders with regard to medical assisted suicide, when we choose life, in a way we're taking on small crosses, but we do it because we hope that life will get better for us and for our followers and our communities and families. We are not martyrs for the sake of it. We don't say, oh yes, I'm going to suffer, and this is what I'm called to do. No, we always strive to get well, and I've continued to use those essential oils that I learned about in Pinner with the sisters. I've taken courses on it. I've taken courses in medical terminology, how the body works. I know all the different bones in the body now, and it's enriched me. I've had good opportunities, and I've been very blessed in that way. Because I've done it working and studying, I haven't had the opportunity to focus full-time on studies and to just enjoy it. Even when I was at Wits, I worked and I studied. So those are the gifts, those are the talents, and our leadership styles impact how we affect our communities, how we affect others around us, and it works out for the best interest of the companies as well. If they can find us something that is going to help us, because then we can be productive, we can do good work. Otherwise, we're always going to be sick, we're always going to not be able to do good work. So the leadership principles, they can be applied in companies and they benefit the companies. I hope that helps you. And again, I'm still looking for work. If anyone knows of any administrative work, office work, any work in human resources, by all means contact me. I've registered with agencies and they are looking for me as well. And I'm applying online. And if anybody's looking for help with workshops, for speaking engagements, contact me. You can contact HRPA. I've registered with them as a speaker as well. And thank you for listening to my talk. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The talks are on YouTube as well.